on true crime. Mugs up, pull that seat right out. You need to tune in, lean in close. We're about to sort this out. So much ish to puzzle through. Whispers, rumors, tangled doubt. Come with me, we'll walk it back till every truth steps out. Crimes and lies and alibis. Spill the story, sip that hit. Come have tea with me tonight. We'll find the cracks in every print. Crimes and lies and alibis. Pour it slow, let's chase that scent. Come have tea with me, alright. You get a hint, you get a hint, oh yeah. You get a hint. Scribbled on a napkin, name circling like steam, motive hiding in the margins, right between the scenes. Every side has got a secret, every secret leaves a trace. Stay a while, we'll piece it together, case by case by case. Crimes and lies and alibis. Spill the story, sip that hit. Come have tea with me tonight. We'll find the cracks in every print. Crimes and lies and alibis. Pour slow, let's chase that scent. Come have tea with me, alright. You get a hint, you get a hint.
Hello, everyone. I know you know that I wasn't going to be gone for long, but there was another reason for my departure, which we will get into pretty much straight away, because something tells me that this live is going to be mass reported by the same people that did it last time. And we're going to go over that first. So I've got Damien in the house today. I'm going to say all my hellos because we got a lot to talk about. So basically, I'm going to break it down. There's an interesting email that we're going to discuss that goes over who was behind mass reporting my channel. And I think you'll find it pretty interesting. People should really be careful on who they accidentally CC. So we're going to go over that. Obviously, we're going to go over Malehya's interview. As some of you may or may not know, I was actually present for that interview. I was there in the background. I was asked to be interviewed, but I did decline to be interviewed. Oh, hello, Janice. Burning Bush, vertical chat, get rid of her. So we're going to talk about that interview. I'm not sure if you have seen the Globe and Mail interview, because obviously Lindsay Jones from the Globe and Mail was there as well and did a separate interview, which I think you will find very interesting. So I will be showing some photos of behind the scenes of that interview that took place at Cheryl's last month. And we are going to talk about Bob the dog handler. And we are going to go over the newest discussions of the whole at St. Andrew's Church and a lot of the BS surrounding that. We'll talk about Belynda's relationship with the dog handler and how long they've known each other. We'll discuss a bit about Belynda being offered an olive branch by Malehya a couple of times. I'm going to go over pictures of the search from April 27th, and you'll know why shortly. We're going to talk about people that own a gold-colored sedan and why that's interesting. And we're going to touch a little bit on Darren Geddes and his recent backtrack from it was Anita to now it is the First Nations CPS again. I'm sure you've all heard it, and I'm sure you're all sick of hearing his crap like we all are. So I'm going to go and, yeah, GG, my bestie. Apparently people, mostly Moss, Monsters of Sabotage, and Mock, aka Cock, going on about me apparently being friends with Darren Geddes, and anyone who really knows me knows that that's pretty much impossible. So, say hi in the chat, lurkers, if you don't mind, unless your name's Janice. Don't say hi. Nova's inquest. Absolutely. Malehya was very brave for her interview, which we will get into. Nurse, thank you for your kind message. I got that. Fern, awesome. Thank you. We all think of Jack and Lily every day, and that's why we're here. And that's why I keep coming back, because there's just so much crap out there. A lot of it I haven't been able to talk about, but now that it's out there, I can discuss it. There was an agreement that I would not discuss anything about the interview apart from the blanket until the interviews were aired, and I honored that arrangement. Deafening Silence, good to see you. Burning Bush, missed you as well. Lori Lynn, that is right. On this channel, you will get Malehya's side of the story. If you want to see everyone else's point of view, I'm sure there's 4 or 5 or 6 other lives where they will be trying to destroy anything about Malehya, which isn't going to happen here. So if that's what you're hoping, better tune out. Sherry Lee Thomas, hope you're enjoying your camping. Cool J17, always a pleasure. Artemisia Sage, Willalin. Paris of the Prairie, yes, it was heartbreaking. And that interview was actually 2 hours long. So you've only seen a very small snippet of it. Liz Nova Scotia Strong, good to see you. Explore Core, obviously good to see you. Good chat. Deborah Dixon, good to see you. That's me putting my eyes on Shy. Always a pleasure. Thank you for your message as well. Camilla, good to see you. Happy Turtle. Explore Core's got her popcorn. I'm on coffee. I'm not even doing tea. I might have to change my freaking channel to coffee time because I've been living off coffee. I can't get used to the water around here. Daisy May, good to see you. Sorry for my reply, and thank you to everyone who has got a membership. I will slowly be putting my videos back up, every single one. And there's reasons why I take them down, because they need to be looked at properly. Who did I miss? Miss Michelle, hello. Just peachy thanks. Hello. Cindy 420. Yeah, I have to take periodic breaks from every now and again because, you know, it can be overwhelming at times. So, yes, accidentally got the email. It's a Maritime Girl. Good to see you. Janice, first troll of the night. Can't even spell liar. You're believable. Barbara, good to see you. Some people have only seen the CBC chat or the CBC article, so that's fine. Paul Quinn, good to see you. Happy Turtle, thank you for sending me 250 jewels. That's awesome. Johnny's in the house. Hey, long time no see. Hope you're all right. Good to see you here. All right. Troll number 2. Should we do a little vote? How many trolls tonight? I vote a lot. SPF 35, good to see you. Love the alias. Jenna the Medium, Between Worlds. I heard you had a good chat today. Good to see you. Explore Core, blow it up. Well, you know I will. I am going to blow down the House of Cards, 1 card at a time. Janet Wilson, good to see you. Carrie, there's my wife. Good to see you. I miss you terribly. I miss our daily chats. Thank you. I appreciate your support. Neigh, Kelly, it has been a long time. It has been a long time. See Legal Canada, Miss Meg, all right, holy smokes. The water in Merry is brutal, Cool J. It's disgusting. Yeah. Happy Turtle, since Floating Hearts, thank you. All right. Thank you, Cindy. I appreciate that. You're here to listen and maybe learn. Well, all I ask you to do is have an open mind. Some things you're going to see are going to kind of be hard to believe. So the first thing I'm going to do is, Damien, you want to say hello? Are you muted? I'm not sure, but Damien's going to help discuss the accidental email.
The accidental email. Hi, everyone.
Yes. So here is the accidental email. So I have redacted it in order to protect some of the senders, although they don't really deserve to be protected. But I think there could be enough information on there to give you an idea of what's going on. So the thread.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
So I'm going to start at the bottom. So hopefully you can all see. So do you want to tell a bit what happened, Damien?
Yeah, I actually received that. I'm trying to remember the exact same time. It was probably around 2 o'clock in the morning after your live that was shut down the other week. And yeah, lo and behold, my best friend and my favorite lawyer were having a discussion talking about coordinating an attack against your channel to have your streams taken down. Um, they also mentioned another creator, AV. Um, so it is a coordinated attack, and the evidence is really stacking up. And I've been told by the RCMP that, and it was before this email thread, that it's bordering on criminal harassment. And I think this might have just pushed it over that threshold. So I'm hoping that the RCMP can start taking action against these people.
So do I, and I look forward to that day. So I implore the RCMP to take these kind of conversations seriously, because although words are open to interpretation, something tells me that you will all see what we see. So do you want me to read the threads and then we can discuss each part, or shall I just?
Yeah, it's easier for you. I'm a little nervous and I don't want to trip over my words. So,
All right. Well, no problem. Don't be nervous. It's only me. So the first message that was sent from someone at a law office to someone at 1251@outlook.com says, here's my number, basically, and the subject is one down, vertical chat is still up. One live down, complain about the other, stat. Initial D. And then B replies, what's that number? You, question mark. D replies, yes. Then B replies to D, I reported it. I see Belynda's in there like BFFs with them. What's going on with her? Not a good look. And then we go to, don't be fooled. She knows who's who. I was there too as soon as I was out of court. I'll reply more once I make sure it's recorded. I'm suing her tomorrow AM. B then sends a message to D's law office, and it says, he says to her, my gosh, get me this bitch's name and address. Then he follows up with, better yet, Damien's. Then he replies yet again, because he's clearly worked up. I sent them shit talking AB to AB, LOL. Very funny. Now he will likely fuck them up also. He reported the fuck out of them. Between us only, D, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Even if they don't know it yet. Catch my drift? B. Then he says to D at the law office, do you have fuckboys? Email. Damien's, just in case, they were confused about who they were talking about. And she says yes and provides Damien's email address.
Now, I'm just going to point this out right here with the way that B is talking. He's definitely not a friendly person. And speaking to a lawyer trying to get people's addresses, that's a bit concerning. And it's concerning that that lawyer would be involved in something like that, if they are even a real lawyer. And, it just leads into my next issue. Certain people who are presented as heroic witnesses. A witness does not act like this. A witness does not destroy their own credibility by losing their mind when basic questions are asked about their ever-changing story.
I agree 100%. Yes, Hemi, fuckery is abound. This case has, as I said before, brought out the worst in humanity, but it's also brought out the best in humanity. It is a real struggle for me in particular to get my head around the fact that professionals and people who have claimed to me to be affiliated with law enforcement are behaving in this way with two missing children. Brandon, as you know from my last live, which got reported heavily because of who knows, messaged me several times between December and February. Many emails with various different descriptions about what he had seen and what had happened on the morning of May the 2nd. And I initially did not repeat or display any of the things he was pretty much demanding me to do. And then he didn't like that. He didn't like that I wasn't doing what I was told. So then,
Follow instructions, Shan.
yes,
Follow instructions.
yes, that's his exact wording was follow my instructions. Very much like Ron Mexico did with his emails, which is why I kind of thought maybe they were the same people. So when I didn't put out his narrative that he wanted me to push, obviously he moved on elsewhere. I don't need to tell you where, but it does make you wonder, based on that email, whether he's playing AB. It certainly seems as though they are using him because he is my enemy, and the enemy of his enemy is his friend. So
Another thing I just want to bring up about Brandon specifically and Daly is what are these two people doing trying to intimidate people who very well could be called as actual witnesses? We're going to discuss some things that we found on some of our searches later on that was leaked inappropriately. That's not, I wouldn't, I can't say more things have been found or anything like that, but it would be easy to assume that perhaps there is more that the public isn't aware of, and for good reason. It's an open investigation. Giving information like that is just completely irresponsible. And to have a coordinated group trying to discredit, trying to intimidate people who are actually participating in the ground search for Jack and Lily is absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. There's no excuse for it. And make up your own minds what you think of these people.
I'm not telling you what to believe. All I ever do is show people's own words and own actions. That's all I've ever done. So if people want to try to discredit me in any way, they're just discrediting the people that I cover, and people ask me about receipts all the time. I don't say things and I don't do things unless I have proof. Um, and I think you will begin to see that. It's been very difficult to hold on to the information that has been found during searches, that has been told to me by family members, knowing about the interview. It was a very, very emotional day, in particular, the interview that Malehya did. And I was there for support. And like I said, I was asked to do an interview, but they wanted to publish my name. And I said no. And then I played some of the recordings and they understood why. And I am here for Jack and Lily. I've always been team Jack and Lily before I was a Malehya simp. I had questions just like everyone else at the beginning of this case as to how things had developed, and I think Malehya cleared up a lot of that in her interview. She's going to, of course, get people that will criticize her interview because that's all that they know how to do. They can't see the wood for the trees. They can't see the broader picture. They can't see how all of these different dynamics have played a part in this case, many of which I've discussed before, such as the coercive control aspect of this case, manipulation, which is happening by many, many different members, and echo chambers being created on different channels that basically paint
Yeah,
Malehya as a very as something she's not. And I think you can vouch for this, Damien. You've met Malehya almost as often as I have. And
yeah.
what did you think of the
She's
interview today?
I couldn't get through the interview without crying, especially after getting to know Malaya. She's a very kind, caring, and just she's actually a really great human being. And to see her that vulnerable, talking about things that obviously are triggering trauma, um, my I felt so bad for her, but I'm so proud she was finally able to, you know, find the strength to ignore all of the bullies, um, and speak out for her children. And she wants them home, and she does love them.
Yes. I think that she portrayed that quite well in the interview. And like all interviews, it was heavily edited. I was there for the entire interview, sitting behind the journalists and camera people. And Cheryl and I found it very difficult to not cry during several aspects of the interview, some of which wasn't shown. But Malehya tried so hard to keep her composure. Um, and in fact, there were many breaks that she had to take to gather her thoughts, dry her eyes. And there were questions that she didn't answer because it's an open investigation. And you will see the difference in how she handled interview questions versus some of the other people involved in this case. She was not willing to point fingers. She was not willing to lay blame, and she wholeheartedly leaves the facts to be released by the RCMP. And she openly admitted she was frustrated, and I think we all are, to be fair, not only with the lack of information being put out by the RCMP because they keep their cards close to their chest. But it's just very difficult with 2 children missing and with so many stories being put out there by various people. And predominantly, it's been pointed towards her and the First Nations people. And sometimes I feel like I'm the only one out there that's trying to show a different side of the story. Cool J says they should release all of these interviews in full. I don't want media editing and spin on things. I can see where you're coming from. But some of the editing is really just, people gathering themselves, taking a moment, having a sip of coffee. So, yeah.
One thing I want to say, before I forget to say it, I'm no longer directly involved with the Jack and Lily search. I know some of my team members are in here, and they may have noticed that I'm not on the ground with them anymore. And that's specifically because of some of the things that are happening in the background with this coordinated campaign that's happening. And it is a real shame. I would rather be on the ground with the rest of my team, but putting their safety first is a priority. And hopefully the RCMP will deal with some of the issues that have come up due to this group.
Yes. Because of a lot of the scrutiny that myself and Damien have got for whether it's advocating for Malehya or participating in searches and not running with certain narratives, it's put Damien in particular in a very bad predicament where, as much as he wants to search, it's what if we do find something significant? What if something is found? What are people going to say? And I think that when we discuss the St. Andrew's Church, I think you'll find why we've been so reluctant to discuss these things and why some of these things shouldn't be brought to light at all. This is an open investigation still. Major Crime Unit is, in my opinion, a very competent organization. They know what they're doing. They're using multiple organizations within the RCMP and major crime across the country. And I believe they do know way more than we do. And if they went out telling everybody what they know, then it wouldn't be a secure investigation now, would it? So as much as I understand the frustration, we need to leave it up to the RCMP to decide what's relevant and what's not. And a dog handler or a grandmother or a third cousin twice removed or a old friend of the family that doesn't know sweet FA should not be out there swearing that they know what's what. So let's get into the Globe and Mail interview, because I think that Lindsay Jones did an amazing job, and she asked Malehya some tough questions, and clearly a lot of you haven't heard it, and I'd like you to pay close attention to the comment about the blanket, because I received a lot of criticism and people trying to discredit what I said about the blanket, and you will hear the words from Malehya's own mouth. Thank you for those of you that have just become a member and sending the jewels. I appreciate that. So let me just get up the article. Anything else you want to say, Damien, on the interview and or we'll talk about Bob the dog handler after the interview, I think, and what procedures you think should have been followed. So, and which ones
Yeah,
weren't.
I'm good for now.
Oh, yeah, okay. Give me 1 second. I just gotta log into my Globe and Mail. So I do have a subscription because, you know, news, good news, and any kind of good, credible news, you have to pay for. So I'm willing to pay a subscription for that, and I'm willing to share with you guys. I just would implore you guys to do the same. So just give me a moment. Hello. Sorry, children checking in. All right. You know me in technology. Don't shoot the messenger. Doing the best I can. All right. Okay. Let me share the screen. Welcome in everyone that I haven't said hello. There's a dog named Bob. Well, hey Nova. Yes, thank you for clearing that up. Hey Lori, good to see you. All right.
Normally, I wouldn't talk about emails and stuff like that happening in the background, but in this circumstance, I think the more people that know what's going on, the better it is for everybody. And they can consider if what they're seeing and hearing is actually accurate or not.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to realize the kind of things that go on behind the scenes and why I need to take a step back from time to time. And
Yeah,
because it is very overwhelming. And when you see stuff like that in writing, no matter how people want to put a spin on it, like they did the last time with Larry, this is a new person who is speaking to the same person,
yeah.
calling me a bitch
It
and asking for my address and name. So
certainly seems that there's one predominant person involved with a lot of this that's going on. And, stuff that I'm not bringing up, there are more connections there with other creators and other individuals in the background that are pushing a certain narrative. And that is something that will be addressed.
The cards will fall one card at a time. And if I have to take breaks, I will. But I can't just stand back and watch the kinds of things that have been happening. And that's the way it is. I will always be an advocate for Jack and Lily, and I will take the flak for supporting Malehya. I
Same.
think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to listen to this article rather than me reading it. And hopefully, let me just make sure that I shared the audio this time, because that's what I didn't do last time. I have a tendency to forget to click on that share audio as well. Right. Share screen. Also share the tab audio. There we go. All right.
To you by an AI-generated voice. The mother of Lily and Jack Sullivan, the two Nova Scotia children missing for more than a year, says she believes her kids are alive and that it's possible they were snatched off their backcountry property. Malehya Brooks-Murray sat down for an interview with the Globe and Mail and the CBC late last month, her first public comments since the early days after her children's mysterious disappearance. The case of the missing children has confounded RCMP and led to widespread speculation and finger-pointing, both locally in the wooded hamlets and industrial towns of Pictou County across the country, and on Facebook and YouTube channels in the online true crime community around the globe. Much of that conjecture and blame has been directed at the children's mother, who moved away from the remote settlement of Lansdowne the day after Jack and Lily went missing. She has never returned to the trailer where they lived. No, or not. In the wide-ranging interview, the 28-year-old Ms. Brooks-Murray defended her silence over the past 15 months and demanded answers from police about her missing children. At the end of the day, the accusations, I can't let them bother me because I know the truth, that I would never do anything to harm my children and that I love them very much and that I want nothing more than for them to come home, she said. And so, I mean, people can take it how they want, but their opinions don't matter. What matters is getting them home. Ms. Brooks-Murray, speaking in a soft and sometimes halting voice, said she hasn't spoken out until now because police had told her that talking to the media could jeopardize the case. But as time goes on, it just feels too long, and we still don't have any answers. So I just want to scream their names to the world. She said she has cooperated with police and done everything they've asked her to do, including taking 2 polygraph tests. She says she still trusts the RCMP, but has become frustrated with the lack of answers and dwindling communication from investigators. I keep asking for new avenues, and they keep saying, we're working on it. And I just don't feel like that's enough, she said. I feel like I deserve more than that, and I deserve answers on where they're at, and I need them home. Nova Scotia, RCMP. Major crime investigators declined an interview and did not respond to emailed questions about the case. However, a spokesperson did say that specialized teams have been engaged in detailed police work over the past 15 months, and that investigators remain committed to establishing, with certainty, what happened to the children. As with any ongoing investigation, many of the investigative steps being taken and the progress being made can't be shared publicly, Alison Gerard said. Ms. Brooks-Murray's recollection of May 2, 2025, when she reported her children missing, was the same as what she and her now ex-partner, Daniel Martel, told police in the early days of the investigation, accounts that have appeared in court documents and have been previously reported by the Globe and others. In a somber voice, she spoke of hearing Lilly, who was 6, and Jack, who was 4, laughing in their shared bedroom, and said she saw Lilly pop into the bedroom where she was dozing with Mr. Martel and their infant daughter. Court documents show that she told police it was about 8:20 a.m., a couple of hours after she had marked them absent from school for the second day in a row because she said they had coughs. The next thing she says she remembered was waking up, seeing Daniel next to me, and I didn't hear them. And I woke Daniel up and said, "I don't hear the kids." So we both went out, and that's when we started looking for them. She told police that this was at 9:40 a.m., according to court documents. Around 10 a.m., Ms. Brooks-Murray called 911 and reported that her children were missing and that their boots were gone. She said she has trouble remembering the next few hours. The trauma is so severe to the point where I block it out because it's hard to sit with it. I just don't know how it even happened. That morning and over the following hours and weeks, teams of volunteers, helicopters, sniffer dogs, and divers scoured the dense forest, swamps, and waterways. The only potential clues were a smattering of boot prints that police later found to be from the same type of boot that Lilly wore, and a pink blanket that was Lilly's found strewn on a tree a kilometer from the home. During the interview, Ms. Brooks-Murray said the pink blanket was actually a strip torn off a larger blanket that had been in the garbage. The strip, she said, had been hanging on a railing outside the front porch. "I don't even know how it even got there," she said, referring to where it was found up the road. Ms. Brooks-Murray defended her decision to leave Lansdowne on May 3rd, the day after Jack and Lilly were reported missing, and offered a few reasons for why she felt compelled to move away from the property during the search. She said she had a panic attack at the command post, set up for the search during a police briefing, and while sitting in the back of an ambulance, she told her mother she wanted to leave with her. "The police had said that we should go and told my family privately to take me out of there, and I was in too much of a state of shock that I just wanted to be with my family and my daughter. So we got out of there, and the police met us back at Mom's." When asked why she hasn't gone back to Lansdowne, she said, "I don't think I can touch on that right now." Ms. Brooks-Murray declined to discuss what life was like inside the trailer or any details about her former relationship with Mr. Martel, whom she blocked from communication the day after Jack and Lilly disappeared. Police documents filed in court paint a picture of a strained relationship and financial difficulties. Ms. Brooks-Murray told police in the early days of the investigation that Mr. Martel was at times physically violent with her in the home, though he has denied this. At the time of the children's disappearance, Mr. Martel told police that the two had been fighting about money. He has also acknowledged in an interview with the Globe that he used drugs, including methamphetamine. Their home life had also been assessed by a provincial child protection social worker several months before their disappearance, around the same time Jack went to school with a black eye. In late January, Mr. Martel was charged with sexual assault, forcible confinement, and assault against a woman in Lansdowne. Her identity is protected by a publication ban. In the interview, Ms. Brooks-Murray said she no longer believes that her children could be lost in the woods, nor does it ever cross her mind that her children came to harm on the property, or that they met foul play, she said. "All I think is positive, because it's the only thing that helps me cope, helps me to get out of bed every morning, is to be continuously positive and know that they're coming home. It's just a matter of when." To her, this leaves only one possible theory. "The only thing I can assume is someone took them," she said, "but for what reason, I don't know." She said she is disappointed that on the day Jack and Lilly were reported missing, police ignored her request for an Amber Alert, a public emergency notification for abducted children. Instead, RCMP issued a vulnerable missing persons alert. Police have repeatedly said they have no evidence of an abduction. At a press conference this past spring, RCMP Staff Sergeant Rob McKimmon, acting officer in charge of major crime and behavioral sciences in the province, said all possible scenarios related to the disappearance of the children are under consideration. He said the chances of Jack and Lily being alive are very slim. Ms. Brooks-Murray says police have told her that she's not considered a suspect in the case, nor are any of her family members. Court documents say she was found to be truthful in her first polygraph. She said the question was about whether she killed Jack and Lily. She said she recently did a second polygraph and police later told her she passed. The question in the second polygraph was focused on whether she put Jack and Lily in a vehicle, she said. RCMP declined to verify any of this. At this stage of the ongoing investigation, all information that can be released publicly has been shared, Ms. Gerard said. Mr. Martel did not respond to a request for comment, but in early January told the Globe that he had nothing to do with Jack and Lily's disappearance. I will happily say that because I believe the kids are 100% alive, and I will always believe that, he said. The case has ignited a furor on social media among self-styled true crime commentators who, often anonymously, peddle misinformation and attacks. It is on these sites where Mr. Martel and some of his family members have suggested that Miss Brooks-Murray had something to do with the disappearance of her children. She says she doesn't even look at the theories and accusations that can be.
I think I'm actually going to just rewind that a little bit for everyone at the back.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That was pretty key here.
Yeah, let's go back a little bit.
The case has ignited a furor on social media among self-styled true crime commentators who, often anonymously, peddle misinformation and attacks. It is on these sites where Mr. Martel and some of his family members have suggested that Miss Brooks-Murray had something to do with the disappearance of her children. She says she doesn't even look at the theories and accusations that can be found online. I honestly don't know what to say because we were in the same bed that night, so I don't understand why they would make up stories. Recently, she walked in a Canada Day parade in the town of Westville, 15 minutes from Lansdowne, handing out Jack and Lily keychains and holding a handmade neon sign that said, "Jack and Lily, help bring them home." I just held my breath and kept looking straight and telling myself, I'm doing this for them to keep their faces out there, to know we're still looking for them and that we're not giving up. She said what she misses the most is tucking her children into bed at night, along with their laughter, their smiles, their hugs, and their smells. They were both Mama's kids, she said. They loved their mom. She lives in a one-bedroom apartment with 2 recently adopted cats in Indian Brook, part of Sepeknikotik First Nation. She takes medication to help her sleep, attends therapy sessions, and spends as much time as she can with her youngest daughter. Next month, she said she plans to start studying to become an addictions counselor, something she said she has long wanted to do. She envisions Jack and Lily, wherever they are, together and being well looked after. She has hung on to their things, small runners with LILLY'S written on the side, her rainbow bedazzled bike helmet and white worn stuffed unicorn, Jack's dirt-encrusted sneakers, and his blue and green toy brontosaurus. She says her bedroom is full of the children's missed milestones, Easter baskets, Valentine's, Christmas, and birthday gifts for them, to
Well, I don't know why that cut out, but I don't know why that cut out. However, I think there was a lot said in that particular interview. I think it's important for people to realize why Malehya believes the things that she does. Myself, I don't have the same beliefs as Malehya. However, I have the same hope as Malehya. The only thing that gets her up out of bed every day is the thought that her children are out there and are going to come back to her. So if people can't understand that, I think they need to have a look in the mirror and think about how they would cope in this situation and what they would need to tell themselves to be able to get out of bed every day. And I think until you actually spend time with Malehya and see what her character is like and see the strength that it takes for her to get out of bed and do the things that she does. And again, a lot of it is stuff that people aren't seeing behind the scenes. People just want to focus on the negative things. And yes, I admit I've discussed some of the things like who her boyfriend was and these sort of things, but that's because I'm trying to discuss what's out there and what people are talking about from her perspective, rather than letting other people decide what Malehya's words are. So I'm going to show some behind the scenes pictures, but I want to point out the discussion that she had about the blanket. Did everyone hear what she said about the blanket in the interview? Did you pick up on what was said? What do you think, Damien?
I didn't pick up on it very well.
So what she said was, and I'll read it. So it was after the discussion of the boots. Okay. So during the interview, Miss Brooks-Murray said the pink blanket was actually a strip. Okay, sorry, let me go back here. The only potential clues were a smattering of boot prints that police later found to be from the same type of boot that Lilly wore, and a pink blanket that was Lilly's found strewn on a tree a kilometer from the home. During the interview, Miss Brooks-Murray said the pink blanket was actually a strip torn off a larger blanket that had been in the garbage. The strip, she said, had been hanging on a railing outside the front porch. I don't even know how it got there, she said, referring to where it was found up the road. So again, I kind of go back to the discussion that Daniel had on the Drunk Turkey show, the many subsequent discussions that he said about the piece of blanket being pulled out of the bottom of a garbage bag at the end of the driveway, and that there was a hand-sized hole at the bottom of the bag, that he had his brother Justin film him opening the garbage bag and showing the larger piece still in the garbage. We were all led to believe at that time that that piece of the blanket was pulled from the larger piece of the blanket that was in the garbage. So Malehya says here it was on the railing out front of the porch, the front porch. And she has no idea how it got from the front porch railing to a kilometer down the road. And if you recall, initial comments made by Daniel were that that was not Lilly's blanket. And Darren said that Daniel only said that to protect Malehya. However, Malehya said right off the beginning that it was Lilly's blanket. So there is, yes, and we did know about the blanket being on the railing when Cheryl mentioned it on Hidden in the Fog. However, she was not allowed to voice her statement properly as she was cut off by Logan, and it was never followed up on by Susan. Yes. So I think it's important to stick with the facts, which is what I try to do, as I've been told them. Again, I wasn't there on May the 2nd, but this is what I'm told, and this is what I heard in the beginning, and this was actually an important item that I wanted to discuss because it is one of the few items of evidence in this case. So the story behind it and where it came from, to me, is extremely important. And if there are discrepancies, inaccuracies, and mistruths being told about this item, then what other things could be being told that aren't true? So now what do you think, Damien?
So that shows the importance of being able to ask questions about stories that we can make. You know, some people are actually open with having that discussion, you know, clearing the air, giving more details about it. And then we have some other people that just get mad and start making threats to people. I tend to believe people that are calm and factual about being asked questions.
So Cool J. Yeah, I agree, Damien. It's difficult to understand or get your head around people that would become aggressive or combative when asked simple questions regarding an item or something they have said, asking them to clarify things. So it tells you a lot about someone in that when they react in that way. I'm
It
just going to
does. And
answer.
combative's a very good description of it.
Yeah. And I find that there are several people that have been involved in this case that I would use the word combative for when questioned or cornered, so to speak, to elaborate on what they've said. So Brandon was one of them. Darren is one of them, and Anita is one of them. When you question the things that they are saying, they become combative, and what was the word that the RCMP used for Darren? It was a little bit more severe than combative, but basically not willing to take any cross questioning. So you have to say, it does make you wonder, what would these people be like on the stand? I think we had this discussion earlier. How would these people react under cross-examination? How would
Yeah,
they react?
definitely. Well, a defense lawyer would chew them up and spit them out, and anything that they had to say would pretty much crumble in front of everybody's eyes. You need people with integrity. You need people that are honest and not combative, and don't snap at you for asking those questions. Any lawyer would absolutely destroy their stories in court, and it's unfortunate because You know, what if Brandon was telling the truth? I don't know. He's never clarified anything with me. I've asked him questions. You know, I've tried giving him the benefit of the doubt. But when your response is like fire and brimstone right off the hop, I, there's no way I can believe somebody like that. It just doesn't make sense. People that aren't lying don't get mad.
I agree 100%. Um, with regards to Brandon in particular, that is something that I noticed that he had in common with our friend Ron Mexico, that when challenged in any way or questioned in any way, they became aggressive and combative. And obviously, our people used to saying what they want to say and nobody questioning them. And I think that's kind of similar to Darren. But we'll get into that in a minute because I do want to discuss comparing my conversation with Darren just a few weeks ago, really, about a month ago, 6 weeks ago, um, and how they were working on something and how Anita was involved. And obviously, his tune has reverted back to his original racist theory. Um, but I'm going to bring up some pictures from behind the scenes of this interview. Um, and again, it happened last month. It was something that we couldn't, well, I in particular couldn't discuss because I'm not a journalist. Um, and I gave them my word that I wouldn't um, talk about it until they release their articles. So, absolutely, legit witnesses are silent. They aren't trying to push their stories to YouTube creators. And the only
Oh,
reason I
Chip,
even
hold on. I'm sorry for cutting you off. I just wanted to
no,
get to
you're
this
fine. Go ahead.
before I forgot about it. Chip, actually, after Daniel said he wouldn't tell me the location of where he thought he heard the scream, he did follow up with me, and we had a short conversation about it. So he did give me that information at the end of the day. So, and I thank him for that.
All right. Troll number 3. Tea time. She looks high. Also, she says they, then corrects herself and says he. Should they have been found already? Meaning she knows what happened to Jack and Lily. Well, she wasn't high at all. And in fact, the journalists were around for quite some time before the interview started and afterwards, because as you'll see, it takes a substantial amount of setup to be able to conduct an interview of this caliber. So Malehya doesn't do drugs. The only type of medication she takes is prescription medication in order to go to sleep at night because of the trauma that she's endured for the last coming up 16 months. So I find it really disgusting that people, that's what you're going to pick out of this particular interview. Because I was there for the whole time. She wasn't high. She was extremely distraught and traumatized and had to keep herself from crying. And if you're seeing her eyes red, it's because there actually wasn't a dry eye in the house. But that's just my opinion and purely speculation only. Right. Let's look at a couple of photos and then we will move on to Bob the dog handler and what we know about his relationship with Belynda. So let me just remove this from the stage and perhaps we will go over the CBC interview after. But I just have a feeling that everyone is going to be showing that one in particular. And I thought I would show something different, which is the Globe and Mail. And because it's behind a paywall, I thought I would share it with you guys. And I thought it was very interesting because the questions were different than the questions being asked by the CBC. I invite you to listen to the actual interview audio, which I will probably go back to as well. But let's just have a little look here first. So I'm going to go through these pictures sort of one by one. Yeah. See, the thing is, Daisy May, I don't think they're referring to marijuana either. And the fact that that's what you have to say, not you particular, but um, um, it just says a lot. And Shy Jesse is saying, I have no doubts about Belynda, never have and never will. Well, I have doubts about a lot of people. I have questions about someone who is happy about misinformation being put out in the case of their missing grandchildren and not having a problem with it. I have a problem with it. So I've got to verify that deafening silence. I haven't heard that particular exact statement, so I need to verify that before I discuss that, but I'm looking into it. I haven't been really paying much attention to other channels other than what my mods sent me, which I appreciate. So this is the first picture, which was of some of Jack and Lily's items. So I'm going to go ahead and open up all the pictures, so then that makes it easier. To share them all. And then I don't dox any names or anything in my inbox because I know they're all looking. So what do you think, Damien? Have you ever seen Malehya partake in drinking or alcohol?
Absolutely not. I sat there and had a few drinks right in front of her, and she drinks her bubbly, and she still has a good time. She's, you know, she's clean. She doesn't do drugs. She doesn't drink. I don't know why people keep saying that she does. It's um, it's horrible for people to do that.
It's anything they can do, it feels like, to paint her in a bad light. Anything at all that they can do to grasp at straws in order to do that. And it's like they don't have anything else to talk about, so let's just make stuff up.
Exactly, and it's also the echo chamber effect. You know,
Yeah.
you have all these faceless channels out there pushing a narrative, and I truly believe maybe 10 people with a lot of alt accounts actually pay attention to that stuff. But it does give an appearance of popular opinion. But in reality, it's just really sad what they're doing. They're very, very sad and vile people.
Yes, I agree, I have to say. Okay, last picture, 1 second. So that was image 52 and all right. I think that is all of them now. Right. I'll start with, so this, as I mentioned, was before the table was set up for all of Jack and Lilly's belongings. It was very difficult to actually look at these items, to have something tangible in your hand that belonged to the children, that they wore, that they hugged, that they played with, that were of value to them. Some of the items I had seen before, but in this context, I found it more difficult. Sorry.
That's a good observation, Cool J. And I also need to say the attacks against Shan really ramped up after it was found out that she was actually speaking with Malehya. And then shortly after that, the attacks against me started happening once people found out I was speaking with Malehya as well. And I don't regret speaking to her. I'm not going to be bullied or intimidated. It's just not going to happen.
No, but they're going to try, aren't they?
They're gonna
They do
try and they're
try.
gonna fail.
Yeah. Daniel does watch, and I'm sure he's watching right now. Hi, Daniel. This is the favorite picture that I took. So all the pictures I'm showing are ones that I took. So I don't need to give credit to anybody. So I really, even though I said this to Malehya, I know it's not about looks, but she looked very beautiful that day. And she looks beautiful every day, but um, she had a glow about her when she would talk about the things that belonged to Jack and Lilly, but somber at the same time. I don't know how to explain that, but you could tell that she was proud to show these items, but was also devastated to be doing it under those circumstances. So um, it was a very difficult day. It was very difficult for her to be able to discuss the things that she was discussing and um, to be just asked question after question after question, not only by Angela, but by Lindsay. Um, and some of the questions aren't aired, but it is a hard um, subject to talk about. I'm sure you're missing children, and I can't imagine ever being in a position like that. So, um, I will get rid of this one. So some of these pictures you would have seen that I had posted before. Hemi, sometimes you really piss me off. I am going to tell you that. I try to keep you around as the resident troll. No, she's not pregnant again. And why do you have to be such a misogynistic idiot sometimes? Anyway. If you had been there, Mr. Hemi, maybe you would have seen what I've seen. But you were probably too busy modding for your buddy, Wolfie. How's he doing these
What
days?
some people might not notice, but she was visibly shaking in parts of that interview, and that's not the first time Shan has seen it or I've seen it. She is absolutely traumatized by certain things, and there are a lot of things she just will not talk about because it's not even that she's not allowed to talk about it. I think it's because can't. She can't get the words out.
Yeah. Yes. And that was throughout the interview. Again, there were many breaks that had to be taken for her to compose herself, and those sort of things don't get shown because that's not what they're looking for on the interview. They're looking to just get the answers to the questions they want. And anyone who's ever dealt with trauma or been around people who have been traumatized will clearly recognize that that's the case here. And yes, Paris of the Prairie, your brain protects you from the trauma by not allowing you to go back to those places. Your brain will put up a blockage to avoid re-traumatizing yourself. So this was during the preparation. Like I said, there was actually ended up being 2 tents and about 7 chairs because it was a very hot day. There was one tent for the equipment and one tent for us to sit and watch, basically. And this image is one of my favorites as well because this area was created as somewhere for them to reflect and think about Jack and Lily. It's not a memorial, as people would like to say. I've seen some really disgusting comments put out there by people like Kent and others. And it's just a real shame that a mother and a friend can't make somewhere to sit and reflect and think about 2 missing children without people making really inappropriate, disgusting comments. So and also, while I have you here, Nova, I just wanted to point out that I know some things were said that I wasn't sticking up for you with regards to a comment made about mistaking an ATV ride for a search. And I really appreciate you advocating for me and for Malehya. And I'm sorry for the flack that you received about that. And I know that you are an advocate for Malehya. And I know we don't see eye to eye on all of the things, but I just want you to know I appreciate you. And I definitely would not throw you under the bus and not defend your coverage of Jack and Lily. So that in particular is to Monsters of Chaos. Don't try to interfere with people who are trying to do the right thing. You worry about you and your content. So this was the garden that was created as somewhere to reflect about Jack and Lily. As you can see in the bench in the background, that was painted by Malehya. So it has Jack and Lily. It has hearts and a unicorn and a dinosaur for them. And yeah, I just think I think it's nice. I think it's important for her to have a place that's peaceful and um, for her to think about her babies, and there's nothing wrong with that. And yes, if you're looking for the full 26 extended version of the CBC interview, it is on Nova's channel as well. And if you want to plug it in, Nova, you're more than welcome to do that. Okay. Now these pictures are the ones that really get to me. This one in particular, and I know that this seeing these shoes in person really affected Damien as well, because knowing that Lily wore these, that she wore them to school, and that they've got her name written on them, it brings a more personal feel when you see these items. You know, because I didn't know Jack and Lily personally. I never met them, just like I never met Cheryl, just like how I never met Malehya. I didn't know any of these people before. I certainly didn't know Darren, nor do I want to get to know him in any way. But I felt compelled to do something as I'm here in Nova Scotia, as I have children, as I have nieces the same age, and that who can wrap their head around what's actually happened, how two children have just disappeared, and we don't have any answers as to what happened. So when you actually handle items that were worn by the children, it really affects you in a way that makes them real. They're not just Jack and Lily missing children. It's a little boy and a little girl, and we don't know where they are. They had friends. They have family who love them. They had favorite toys, favorite blankets. They played outside. They laughed. They giggled. They ran around, and now they're missing. So, as much as people just want to ream off their names for their channel, like and share for Jack and Lily, these are two babies that are missing. So, these are Lily's shoes.
Yeah, the shoes really got to me.
Yeah. So we first got to see these shoes when we were at Cheryl's, along with some other items. So these were some of the items selected to be put out on the table, that Malehya had also brought some stuff that belonged to Jack and Lily. And I think you'll find that, yeah, it's very difficult. And I'm sure many moms will and dads will recognize having these items that similar items that belong to their own children. So, and Hemi, if you can't behave, go sit in the car. Today's not the day. Which one is the front one? 5259. How long before DM resurfaces? That was a discussion I had with some of my moderators and Damien and some of my confidants. I presume it'll be any time now to try to get ahead of and discredit Malehya. Thanks for being here, Nani71. I appreciate you. And I do ask everyone just to keep an open mind. You don't have to believe what I believe. Nobody, I don't believe everything that everyone believes either. We're all entitled to our opinions. Just try to keep an open mind that what you're seeing on YouTube land is not the real world. It's not real life. The RCMP have stated many times that social media is creating problems with the investigation of this case. I don't know how many times they have to say it, but I'm pretty confident it's not me causing the problems. So these are Jack's shoes. Those were his outdoor shoes, and they still have mud on them from when he was playing outside with them. And that almost is the epitome of the contrast between Jack and Lily. Just, I know one was an indoor shoe and one was an outdoor shoe, but Lily was a girly girl. She liked to dress up. She liked to, wear dresses and be pretty and pose for photos. And Jack was a typical little boy who liked to dig in the dirt and dig for bugs and play with dinosaurs and cars. So I think people are, again, just forgetting that these are children and not a meal ticket, not a money train, not just something to create content, not just for clicks and views. Dear, some of these things are very difficult to look at. So Malehya brought, some of her prized possessions of the children. And this was another very sensitive item for me in particular, because it's something that I did for my children as well. So this is, I'll show you a larger picture shortly, but this is Lily's umbilical cord. She has Jack's as well. So this is attached to a frame with Lily's first hand print and first footprint. And I'm going to take myself off the screen so you guys can have a real look at what we're dealing with here. And I'm just going to show a couple more pictures. There's one in particular that I want to show. So I'm just trying to find the one of the entire table. So bear with me a second. Oh, this one is quite an interesting one too, actually. Kind of shows what goes into creating an interview. So this image here is sort of what was going on behind the scenes right before they turned on the cameras, I guess. So you have a camera crew, you have, and that was from two different, so you had CBC camera guy, you had the Globe and Mail camera guy, you had Ali, Angela, Lindsay Jones. Also, there was a director there, and then you had myself, Cheryl, and Angeline. So you know that it's with in the heat, with lights, cameras, and pressure. It's a lot. It's not as easy as people think it is. And I'm going to show one last picture of behind the interview, and then we're going to talk about Bob. Are you good with that, Damien? We might take a little break, perhaps.
Yeah, I'm good with whatever.
Okay. There's just one particular picture that I'm trying to find. 5255. And you know how great I am with technology.
I can teach you a little bit about technology.
I need the assistance. I'm also like part sloth, I think. All right, so it must have been 5254. Yeah, some of these pictures are just really difficult. Right, here we are, 5253. And I will run through what these items are. Right, so make it a bit easier for people to see. So see you later, Kelly. So from left, we have a backpack of Lily's. We have Lily's shoes. We have Lily's stuffed unicorn that she slept with. And then we have her handprint and footprint, and then an Easter handprint in front of that. with her umbilical cord on the front. And then we have next to that Jack's handprint and footprint, and then a handprint from Easter and his umbilical cord attached to the frame. And next to that frame was his dinosaur, the dinosaur that he slept with every night. And then those are his shoes next to that. And Malehya sleeps with that unicorn and that dinosaur every night. And she went out and bought a new dinosaur and a new unicorn for Jack and Lily in the hopes that she'll be able to give them the new ones. And in amongst some of the things you can't see there is a Christmas stuffy, Lily's Hello Kitty hat, and cards that have been accumulated over various occasions since they went missing. So I'm going to close all this down. Perhaps we'll take a small intermission, and I'm going to bring up the photos to go along with our discussion about Bob the dog handler. So what some of you may not know is that I was there when the hole that was hit on by Bob's dog, I was there when that hole was first found on April 27th. It was day 2 of the 5 days that I did search with Please Bring Me Home members. So there was the day before the official search, and then 3 other days of subsequent searches that were not public. So on April 27th, the group I was with did Lairg Road, the mine on Lairg Road, all the side trails off Lairg Road, up to Montreal Road, St. Andrew's Church, and the falls next to it, as well as the pond next to it. So I was actually the one that discovered that hole. I took pictures of it, documented it, as well as some other areas that were a little disturbing around the church. I got a picture of the tree. I'm going to go, I'll show you all of those as well. So yeah, there's that. One thing I want to mention is that some of the people that were on my team, you go ahead, Damien.
Oh no, I'm not trying to say anything.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say something. One of the things I really want to address, which is bothering me, is that there was a couple of people in my group, one of them being Christine Enrique. And I'm only touching on this subject because it bothers me immensely. And I was going to let it go, but I'm a stubborn horse. And so some of you might not know that the night before the search, the official Please Bring Me Home search, a bunch of us were getting together for dinner. One of the people that was supposed to be there was Christine Enrique. However, her phone got switched off. She didn't answer her phone, and she went AWOL for 5 hours and didn't turn up to the dinner that she said she was going to be at. And that was so she could meet Malehya for the first time. So alarm bells began to ring for all of us because she was last seen and heard from in Lansdowne with Daniel. So she didn't turn up for dinner. She wasn't responding to messages. Nobody could get a hold of her. And we had to actually make a missing persons report for her because the last picture that she sent was of her searching at a church with Daniel. So she didn't ever turn up to dinner. And the only call that we got that night was a call back from the RCMP to say that she had been located and that somebody had told them that she was okay. I will say I wasn't particularly keen to have her search with us subsequently. However, I did have her on my team for a couple of searches, and I did manage to get 5 hours of recording of her talking in my vehicle, but that's for another show. So that being said, she was also there when this hole at St. Andrews was found towards the end. Well, actually, I'd say halfway through our search on the 27th. But subsequently, she doesn't remember that hole. She doesn't remember us finding a hole that resembled a grave. That sounds odd
Interesting.
to me. Do you think you would remember finding something like that, Damien?
Absolutely. It would not leave my mind.
It didn't leave mine, did it, Damien? It bothered me. Sorry, repeat that.
It was one of the most troubling things I have come across. It really did affect me, and I know it affected you. We've talked about it a lot. Um, we'll get into more about that after.
Yeah. I think I'm going to take this opportunity to have a quick break. I'm going to have a cigarette, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to discuss the procedures that were followed subsequently to that. I'm going to show you the pictures I took on that day, on April 27th, of other areas of St. Andrews that I found interesting, and why I don't find anything about Bob credible. I have a lot of suspicions as to why he inserted himself and who he knows and who he's affiliated with. And I know, Damien, you shared the same concerns, and you voiced them from day one when you first were told by him before the first search for Jack and Lily that he was friends with Belynda.
Yeah, it was a concern, and I did bring up that connection immediately with the leadership, um, just based off of everything that has been happening online and the prior search. So I do have it recorded that I record all of my searches in the Lansdowne area. Um, and yeah, it was concerning enough to me that I did make it known.
And you recorded every moment spent with him, correct?
That is correct, even for the subsequent confirmation canine search.
Yeah. So we're going to have a little discussion about that in a moment. We're going to take a little break. I'm going to load up some photos, and we're going to talk about the controversy surrounding the hole at the church, what MCU did subsequently, and what procedures were followed immediately after the hole was discovered. And I think you'll find it's a whole lot different than what people are putting out there. And also take into consideration this hole was found on April 27th. This is not a new development. So on that note, we will be back in 4 minutes and 7 seconds. And yeah, keep an eye on the chat, please, moderators. And if anyone's being a dick, just kick them out. Thanks. Jenabelle, see you shortly. We're just having a small intermission to gather our thoughts for the next bombshell. See you in 4 minutes.
All right.
All right. So, welcome back, everyone. So, I'm going to let Damien explain the sequence of events. I'm going to get my pictures ready for what was found on April 27th, and he can give his initial opinion on Bob the dog handler. Go ahead, Damien.
All right. Yeah, typically I don't talk about members that are involved with our searches unless they self-identify. And it's obvious in this case, he has self-identified and he has been giving information to the public, which is pretty unfortunate. Pretty much what happens when we find evidence such as that is that we record it, we verify it, and we write a report that we send directly to the MCU. So the MCU was immediately notified after that search. I had a discussion on the phone with them about the findings, and we leave it at that. Our job as searchers is to search. We are not investigators. We are searchers. We don't determine what is or what is not evidence. We leave that up to the RCMP, and we don't disclose sensitive information like that to the public or even to the family. And the biggest reason why, and especially in this case, we don't know the evidentiary value of it, and we don't want to be giving false hope or devastation to those family members. A find like that is absolutely horrible. I can't imagine how Malehya felt having the dog handler telling her about this at an unrelated search. In my opinion, he had no business doing that. And I definitely know he won't be used by my team, and I'm sure a lot of other teams will not want him involved for giving that information out to the public. It's highly sensitive. This is an active and ongoing investigation, and that's not the standard that that I personally expect from anybody. Please Bring Me Home did not notify Belynda. I noticed that she said that she was notified by Please Bring Me Home. That is not the case. The dog handler was a volunteer. He's not an actual member of Please Bring Me Home. So everything that he's been speaking about has been on his own, not related to Please Bring Me Home whatsoever. In the future, there is a dog team that we do work with. They remain completely anonymous. They don't talk about the searches they're involved with, and they don't leak potential sensitive information to the public, which is how things should be done with a professional canine handler. And this really has me concerned. The first time I met Bob was prior to our search in April. We were covering the area of the pink blanket, doing a grid search. I had that recorded as well. And during our conversation after the search, he informed me that he knew Belynda and that he did speak with her. And I voiced that concern immediately. And throughout the past couple of months, it became apparent that he wanted to talk to anybody who would listen to him about his dog and what the dog found. I tried explaining to him that after we write the report, the RCMP aren't going to tell us what they're doing with that information. He told me that he was told by a friend of his at MCU, not related to the Jack and Lily case, that they didn't think it had any value at all. They're not going to do anything about it. And that he can go ahead and just, dig up soil, so on and so forth. I reminded him that it didn't sound like something that the MCU or the RCMP in general would be telling anybody to do. And I also informed him that even though it doesn't appear that the RCMP are following up with the information that we provide to them, I know for a fact from personal experience that they follow up on every piece of information we provide to them. So I'm very, very disappointed with that whole scenario. Belynda shouldn't have been told. Malehya shouldn't have been told. It's not up to us to determine whether it's related or not. And the circumstances surrounding it, as Shan was saying previously, she was with Christine Inrig during a search when that was discovered. And I won't comment any further on that, but to me, it looks similar to the blue blanket, the first search, to be completely honest. That's my opinion. Whether it's true or not, that's not for me to decide. The investigative side of this whole disappearance, that is 100% with the RCMP. It's not me. It's not Nick. It's nobody from Please Bring Me Home. So I'm very, I'm heartbroken that any family member would have been told that information. So I'll pass it on to you, Shay.
I will give you my opinion. I lost any respect for Bob when we were searching for another individual. Like I said, that Malehya and Cheryl had attended because they want to give back to the community. And Bob took it upon himself at the end of the search to tell Malehya and Cheryl about his dog hitting on that spot twice. And as you know, Cheryl and I are friends. This search took place on April 27th when the hole was found, and I did not say anything to Cheryl. In fact, I haven't said anything to anyone about this other than to Damien, and I was also questioned by the major crime unit about the surroundings of that situation. So, and when I followed up, I can tell you that Bob sent me a message.
Thanks for your commentary, Belynda, but I'm going to end that right here for you. It's not up to you to tell Shan she should be ashamed. She's looking for your grandchildren. The fact that you don't appreciate that and you stand with people leaking potential evidence to the public in a case where children are missing, I feel you should be ashamed of that. This isn't all about me. Look at me, look at me, look what my dog did, look what information I have. This is horrible. I've lost all respect. I'm blocking you. Goodbye, Belynda.
I would like to know how long you knew Bob, the handler, for before he reached out to offer his services, Belynda. That's what I'd like to ask. And why your son wasn't with you when you went to go and dig with Bob. And why Bob forgot to mention in his follow-up email that when he went to collect the soil samples that you and Charlotte Wood were with him. Charlotte Wood, Charmaine's moderator. But maybe that should be for another show. I'm going to go on to the pictures that were taken on the morning at 11:58 a.m. And I am pretty fed up with the amount of people that have consistently put out misinformation and who encourage those to do so. Never met the man until the rally. All right.
That's interesting because I have a video recording that says otherwise, but I'm not here to argue.
Well, that's the thing with this case. It's very hard to determine who's telling the truth. I would still like to know why your son, the father of Jack and Lily, wouldn't have attended with his elderly mother, who's got a sore hip, to assist in digging, looking for his own children. I'm not ashamed of anything I've done, Belynda. I am trying to put out the facts since I started this channel. Unfortunately, everyone you've surrounded yourself with doesn't have the same feelings as I do. And I implore you to look at the beginning of this video to see what some of the people you have surrounded yourself with are doing. Anyway, back to the program. So, St. Andrew's Church, very creepy place. There was an abundance of flies around the property, which in itself was disturbing. This was the door down to a cellar area of the church. Now, I want to be very clear that St. Andrew's Church is still owned by the church members. They still have services at this church at the back. The main church is uninhabitable, so services take place in the back of the building. This is not the church owned by the man that everyone is discussing in the background. This is a separate church from the church next to Salt Springs Elementary, where all the things are discussed about. This is a separate church. It is the St. Andrew's Church on the corner of Lairg Road and Montreal Road. The cemetery for this church is located across the road and up a hill. So make of that what you will. So that was one key area that I took a picture of because I thought it was strange. So this is a picture of the hole from about 10 feet away. And I'm going to zoom in. It's very difficult to kind of get so I would say the hole, Damien, you saw it as well. I would say the hole was approximately 1 and a bit feet deep. And I would say it was about 2 feet wide and about 4 feet long. Would that be a good approximate?
Approximately. I'd have to look at my report to get a better idea, but that sounds about right.
Right. So there was, as Belynda had mentioned before, this was back in April, and there was debris inside the hole. So clearly the hole had been dug out a season before. So if I were to make a guess, I would have said prior to fall of the previous year, so prior to fall 2025. Mark Westberg in the house, #1 commentator for Monsters of Sabotage. Interesting. All right, so here is a picture of on top of the hole. To give you a bit of a better idea. So why it was just one of those interesting things was because there was it was dug by hand, and the dirt that was dug out of this hole was still on the side. It was not refilled. And it was only a few feet. The red thing is a ribbon that had blown off of a memorial wreath that was attached to a fence further up on the lawn that was probably put there for Remembrance Day. So there was discussion about the tree that was planted relatively recently in front of where this hole was found, and that would be this tree, dedicated to Hector Mackenzie. So I will zoom in. So you will see the tree. You see this tree was planted by Hector Lawrence Mackenzie in honor of all the Mackenzies who have passed. So to the right of the tree, you can see some dirt, and it was just into the woods behind there where that hole was. I suspect that if I were to guess, that the major crime units would have been in touch with the owner of the church and got the history behind the tree and what kind of digging may have taken place in and around that area in the last couple of years. That's just a guess. Another interesting thing that was found there was a burn pile. So this was just outside of that cellar area that had the lot of flies, and hard to tell, but basically that's all ash and burnt material in there, like almost like the remnants of an old fireplace. So yeah. So Lyric Road is, I would say, from 1407 Gairloch Road. It is the next about 3 roads up. So if you remember discussions about where Daniel's car was heard coming and going from, that was one of the roads that Brad had heard the car go up to. Now their road's quite a decently long road. I would say it's 3 kilometers between Gairloch Road to Montreal Road. So I would say it's probably about 5 kilometers from 1407 Gairloch Road. But again, I don't believe for 1 second that the RCMP Major Crime Unit didn't follow up very soon after they first received this information. It's possible even that they received this information before we even found it. We won't know, and they won't tell us, and they won't tell you, Belynda, and they won't tell anyone else. They certainly wouldn't tell Bob, the dog handler, anything based on the fact that he was messaging me and telling anybody that would listen about what he was doing. I actually had to stop him at that same vigil that you're talking about, Belynda, and tell him to not talk to Cheryl and the family members about it. So if he ignored me and carried on and told you afterwards, after I instructed him to not talk about the findings to family members, what does that say about his integrity? I'm a YouTuber, and I didn't talk about it. Because even I, who's not a detective, who's not a dog handler, who's not a trained searcher, knows the value of keeping information on the down low in an open investigation. But what do I know, Damien? I'm just a girl.
I just really can't understand the amount of people that want to make this about themselves and make themselves look like they're the hero or, you know, they're above and beyond everybody else. It's just really disappointing because that's not what searching for missing people is. It's finding evidence. It's locating the person. It's giving that information to the actual investigators. It's not the me show. It's not about me. It's not about Bob. It's not about anybody but those children that are missing. My mind is blown, and it all seems to be connected to one specific person. That's the way I see it. I might be wrong. I don't know. I hope I am, because I'd be so disappointed.
I have a feeling that it's connected to a handful of people who are purposely trying to sabotage the investigation. For what purpose, I don't know. But this has always been about Jack and Lily. And what I don't understand is why there is such a lack of integrity out there. And Monsters of Chaos thought that they should do a video and describe the word integrity. And I think there are very few people actively working on finding answers for Jack and Lily that actually have any kind of integrity at all. And my circle has become quite small. There's only a handful of people that I would consider professionals when it comes to investigating, whether it comes to women's advocacy, legal rights, and search and rescue, and the rest I've shut out. I've shut out the noise, but I will continue to address it. And you can mark my words that Monsters of Sabotage will take everything I've said, turn it, twist it, manipulate it, and turn it into something it's not.
Well, it'd be unfortunate for people to hear what they have to say behind the scenes. You know, I think if it's not directly related to the search for Jack and Lily, I think it should just all be released and people should hear the truth of what's happening behind the scenes. Um, it's gotten to the point that it's absolutely ridiculous. It's not about Jack and Lily anymore. It's all about who's smack talking who. I don't understand.
Yep. And I'm actually going to end it on this note. There was a lot more that I wanted to cover, but I'm going to come back and do a live tomorrow night. And I'm going to touch on all the things I wanted to touch on, like Darren and Cody, the Untouchable, and go over some more audio clips that I have. But for right now, my children's friends need a lift home, and I need to make that a priority. So I'm going to love you and leave you. And yeah, my name's Shenanigans for a reason. And that's what this case has become about. But Jack and Lily are always at the forefront of my mind. And I know they are Damien's as well. And I know everyone in this chat feels the same way. So I appreciate all of your support as usual. And you guys are the reason why I keep coming back, because you're very encouraging. So I gotta go. See you later, guys.
Thanks, Shad. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye.